Good afternoon everyone. I'm just doing a little bit of sanding now, following the texturization of the walls. Obviously I did this quite a while ago, but now I've done the other side, I just feel this texture needs taking down a notch because it's a little bit too coarse for the scale. Probably great at doll's house size, but for this size it's a little bit too thick, coarse, bumpy. So I'm just using some offcuts of emery board nail file to sand it down a bit smoother. I don't want it perfectly smooth, I just want it to be yeah, just a little bit less bumpy. Now just noticed there's a little bit coming up there off the detail, so I just stick it behind it. Fix it back down again. So I've just cut up various bits of nail file. Use as a sanding stick. It's very effective. It just means you can get into some of the smaller areas just by cutting a little bit. It's more manageable than holding a shredded piece of sandpaper. I was going to leave it as it is, but I do think it benefits from taking it smoother. Good afternoon, Sarah. How are you? Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. Quite happy with how this is going. It's currently not raining, so I've got some washing out. And I just spotted another bit that's coming off. Where did I put that little pile of glue? Let me just get a little sliver of super glue behind there. Try and glue it back down before I end up knocking it off. That's better. I don't know if you can actually see that, but just a slight detail starting to come off. And because these are quite close together, there's not an awful lot of space to work in, so I'm just to keep making myself a little bit of small. Yes, well, I was going to. I have given it an undercoat. So the bit that I was working on last night was this bit. So I have given it an undercoat, but the texture's a little bit too thick, too coarse, so what I've done is sanded it all back. And having done that, I've realised that the front side needs attention too. That's just letting it down a bit by being a bit too coarse, bumpy. So I'm just going over the whole lot with fine emery board and just smoothing it out a little bit. It's a cement rendered finish, but it's supposed to look like it's rendered rather than somebody's thrown rocks at it. I think the thing is, sometimes when you're referencing photographs, looking at different angles and views and trying to get a feel of how the thing looks in real life, certain lighting angles make it look different. So in certain respects the texture looked really quite rough, and in others it looked a lot smoother. So I've taken the view that it's a lot smoother than I imagined it to be, which is why I'm just going to take a little bit of time and prepare the surface a bit more. With a bit of luck, I can spray it with a coat of sandstone tonight, but I've still got an awful lot of detailing to do, and there's some more buildings to add, so I have an internal wrangle with myself as to whether I sort of try and work bits up to a more finished aspect or element as I go, or do I just carry on doing the whole thing and then do a uniform treatment. I mean, normally that's what I would do, but some bits are going to be quite inaccessible once I start gluing other bits on. So I think I'm going to do my original plan and build things in sections. There's a whole building that comes this way that's attached to it. And likewise at the back there's another section that runs off. But since I did my first mock-up of this, the dimensions have changed slightly as I've fine-tuned the drawing, so I still need to work out how the rest of it fits together properly, because it's changed size since my mock-up. I am finding out as I go along with this model that they are kind of renovating as they go. So some of the windows that I thought were brown or cream to begin with have now subsequently been painted green. So I'm just in the process of double checking with the client as to what colour they want the window frames painting. Like I said, the actual subject, the chateau as it is for real, is a bit of a renovation project or a restoration project. So they only bought it 2 years ago, and they're in the process of gradually restoring it. As you can imagine, it's a huge building, so I think they're going to work at it sort of bit by bit. I'm quite eager to get the windows fitted. It's going to just jump in. Hi Georgia. I wondered if you'd find me over here as well. I was in two minds as to whether to just quit and work on my own or not, or whether to just come over here for a little while as well. It's a lot of tedious sanding that needs to be done right now, so it's not the best of viewing. Now this section here, I've not textured it fully, so I might just try and take back that down to the board so it's a bit more even. Or the alternative is to just try and smooth in a little bit of filler. I think I might actually go down that route. So what I'm going to do is just paint a little bit of PVA on the inside of that window. use a bit of the powdered shavings just to sprinkle onto the wall there and add a bit more texture. You can't see it, I'm sorry, because I needed to get up, but that's just filled that hole in a bit better. And because I've sanded it, I've got an instant smoother texture. I will collect that to reuse later. So the lighter parts here are the bits that I've sanded down, so it's producing a better surface than the lower parts, which are a bit more coarse. I've got another building that needs to come onto this section here that needs the same treatment again. And I almost forgot that I've just this minute filled that, so I don't want to sand over that, do I? Over the top of there is going to be very, very tricky to get to, so I might just have to live with the fact that it's a little coarser. A little coarser, not coarser, because coursers are cars. I used to have a Corsa. In fact, I've had 3. I really liked my Corsa. I do keep jumping onto the decorative stonework in places because some of it is just lifted up. Hello to people that keep jumping in and out. Nice to see you. Hope you're having a nice Saturday. There's another little bit that's lifted. Where's my glue gum? I did a little test of the paint colour for the green that I'm going to need to use, and as luck would have it, I have a perfectly coloured acrylic colour ready and waiting, which is very useful. It's always a lot easier to paint straight from the pot because it's quite hard mixing custom colours repeatedly. So I just used a spare bit of window frame, so that's going to be the green that I'm going to use. Another little funky thing I've done is that I've made a load of window shutters on the laser, and I'm really impressed how that's looking. You can see through it, but there's no way I'd be able to cut those out, so I'm hoping they'll hold their shape. I'm not going to attempt to cut any little bits that are left over out, but that's one of them I've just taken off. The ironic thing is you're not going to actually see much of them because they're going to be open. Sorry, closed. No, open. So they're going to inset into the window like that, but doubled up. Don't know if you can see them. They will stand out from the wall because they're going to be green. But it's just details like that I love adding, and that's part of the reason why I've just come back to this, haven't I? And I've not realised that I've glued it. Ugh, I'm so forgetful sometimes. Yeah. Let's just do that again because I completely forgot. Oh, that's looking coarse. I haven't done that bit yet. No, Lee, you have. You just glued it. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I persuaded the client to go to a bigger scale, so I could have fun with the details. I'll just tip this up. It'll be off camera, I'm sorry. The only way I can do it is applying it at height. Right, do not come back to that bit. I'm warning you. It seems an age ago since I made this bit. Can't think how long I've been on it now, but it must be well over a month. Might not be. Time flies when you're having fun. Hello Nancy, good to see you. How are you doing? This is a rare joining. Thank you for the gift. I don't know if you've seen much of the work I've done. I'll get my words out eventually on this one so far. But this one is just as much of an epic as Dave's was. Maybe not occupying quite so much ground space, but in terms of its size, it's huge. But of course it's a slightly bigger scale. I'm going down to Devon next week to go deliver that cottage farmhouse building, so I'll get a chance to see it for the flesh, in real life. So hopefully I'll be able to get some good photographs if the weather's decent. Thank you, Tukey. Very kind of you to say so. Yes, be a bit risky that, getting the bird to come and land on it. But, what I want to try and do is get a few pictures of him holding it in front of the house, a few pictures of it in front of the house in the same angle, if you see what I mean. And of course I'd like to have a picture of me holding it. But I'm taking my son down with me, so I'll have a photographer to hand, as it were. It's quite rare I get to see the actual house. I've only hand delivered the houses to a handful of clients, although I have met quite a lot of them halfway, if you see what I mean. But yes, I think it was I think Minnie suggested doing a little blog. So if I can, I'm going to try and get photographs of it having its travels. So loading into the car and all the various service station stops before it gets there. But my son and I are going to have a mini holiday while we're down. I say mini, it's only going to be the day after. We're going to spend a day at the beach, see if we can do a bit of surfing. Well, bodyboarding as it is, because we don't surf. My knees aren't up to surfing. But yeah, we're going to try and get a day on the beach while we're down there. Might as well, eh? This is kind of like decorating. I don't know how many of you actually do home DIY, if you're painting your rooms or wallpaper or anything. A lot of the journey is the preparation. So I'm really, really eager to get moving on to the painting stage, but there's an awful lot of prep that needs to get to that stage, which is why I'm doing a lot of sand. Excuse me. Why I'm doing a lot of sanding. Hello, Joel. How are you doing? And there's another bit here that I need to work on. When I first put these, when I first joined the tower onto the model, I've had to do a bit of filling. So now that the filling process is done, I need to carve some of the missing stone back in. There's not an awful lot to do, but I'm just trying to redefine some of the areas. And now I'm sat here, I've just remembered there's another bit that I need to sand off. So in front of this building here is another section. So in reality, they currently use this room as a TV room, so they live in this floor here and watch TV. And this is a little wine cellar. So ground floor is actually, if I can find a scrap of card that's substantial enough, substantial. Oh, I can't really find anything substantial enough, but we'll use this old gable piece. So ground level is actually here. Sorry, here. And you'll come down a set of stairs and down into the wine cellar there. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I might well be, I'll never discount that. This has been the most detailed and ornate model I've made to date. I mean, I thought the farmhouse that I just finished was a challenge. That's the model that I've just finished that's going to be shipped down to Devon next week. As you can see, Bert's having a rest in the bracken. The milkman is on his never-ending trip to deliver the milk, and Ernie has disappeared. I do know where Ernie is actually. Ernie was doing a bit of carving yesterday. He's over here. I need to find a little wine barrel so I can have him coming away from the wine store. Oscar, where's Oscar? Good question. Here's Oscar. There he is. He's not quite as photogenic because he's a really basic, horrible looking figure compared to the others. So don't use him as much. The other two are really quite nice. I don't know where they've come from, but they paint up quite well, and they sort of stand up to close-up scrutiny a little bit better. I keep knocking him so. Filler primer. And part of me thinks I should be going out to the shop to get some more, and part of me can't be bothered. We'll see how far I get. So I'm completely forgetting what kind of emery board I was using, and just picked up the nearest thing to hand. This has only been done this morning, so it hasn't got the benefit of an overnight setting. But it still looks okay. I've yet to make the windows for this, so that's another thing on the task list. I've made all the windows for everywhere else on the building behind. We haven't made the windows for this bit yet. I wanted to get this bit done. This is all all raw and unfinished. So this is what the walls look like before I give it the surface treatment. But because this is going to end up glued on at an angle which is going to make it hard to paint or texture, I decided to texture it before it was assembled. Once it's on, the other side will be a lot more accessible, so I should be able to fix it in place. I do need to get it fixed because I need to be able to fill the gap. And I'm going to leave it off the base for as long as I can right now, because I need to be able to get in and stick the windows in. At the moment, there's a hole at the bottom, so I can reach in and just fit the windows behind. The same with these windows, although the roof is loose as well, so I need to both get above and below. So like I say, if I now just switch this round, I'll show you that this has got a curved top that I spent a lot of time last night trying to perfect, and that marries up with the curve of the tower there. So this join here will need filling and blending in, and I'll need to glue that in so I can fill it and then start to texture this, but I needed to get the other side done first. So I'm going to leave it as long as I can, but I think I'm going to get to the point where I need to start thinking about filling it, fixing it on. Like I say, there's a number of other bits that I need to do yet. As we move around the model here, this whole gable needs it needs filling. I spent a lot of time on that curve, Nancy. It was a toil, but it was worth it. So I'm not going to use the same texture on this, I don't think, although I am very fickle and I do change my mind a lot. I think I actually will. I was thinking about spreading some filler on, but there's two things that happen when you do that. Is that one, it's very hard to get a flat surface, and two, it's not going to match the rest of it. So I've just answered my own question as to what I'm going to do. Is that I'm going to paint some PVA onto this end gable here and texture it. I do actually have another building that fits onto this, and I haven't yet worked out just how it matches on. Although I do have, as it happens, a little cardboard mock-up that I made, and just see if I can get it down. Sorry, there's all the rattling in the background. This is the cardboard template that I made to see whether it's going to work. It's going to have some courtyard elements to it, but no back garden as such, no. It's actually back straight onto the street, this building. So it doesn't have a lot of land. Now you'll see a lot of scrappiness here. Okay, so this is as far as we've got so far. There is another huge part of the building that fits on. Comes away like that, and it does do that. And then I have another section that will fit here, so I can just come off the tripod. See, the overall building will look like that. There's this 3 sections of building that need to tack on. So I only have to render sort of halfway up here. I don't have to go all the way down. So if I treat that line there as the render point. These are 2 sort of, I think they use as like holiday cottages attached to the building. I don't know what this bit is. No, it's not an entire city. I build people's houses, but this is someone's actual property. They're lucky enough to own a mini chateau. There are actually a number of other buildings attached to this one that would it would end up being ridiculously huge. So we've agreed to do the main lived-in parts rather than the wooden storage areas. Not wooden storage, the wine storage, because it used to be related to the wine industry. So they had a whole load of storage barn type buildings that housed wine barrels. It's still part of the property, but it's not going to be part of the model because it's oops. It's not really, I've kind of convinced them, talked them out of it, because it's going to end up unmanageable. You dreamed of doll houses. Do you still do dolls houses? You're never too old to play with dolls houses. Right, this is going to be a little on the messy side. And also a little bit on the hard to film side, so I'll try my best. It's not as sunny outside as it was. What I'm going to do is paint this entire section that I've just marked off with neat PVA, and then I'm going to sprinkle that bit of texture on. I'm going to try and leave these bits here off because those are actually painted stones. I need to try and work out how I'm going to apply that. I do have an electric engraver which may come into use. I just want to make sure that this is all evenly applied without any huge bumps. I'm now just going to put it on its end. Let me just move you up so you can kind of see. I don't know if it's going to be possible. You can see the scrappiness of my desk here. Just try and shift down. So this is the debris of the sanding. Rather than the grout, do it fresh grout and repaint it, I've kind of got pre-coloured, pre-primed texture surface, so that's really helpful. There are some bigger bumps falling on there that I don't really want. I don't need to spread too much on, it doesn't need to be too thick, I just want to cover the glue. Like I say, it's extremely handy that I've not thrown the sweepings away just yet, because they are perfect for covering. Slowly getting there. They're not easy to pick up with my fingers, so that's why it's taking a little bit of time. If it was in a pot, it'd be easier to pick up. No, I mean stop motion. I haven't as yet, no. I did pose some figures together, but I don't have an awful lot of time for filming bits. I'd probably be quite successful in creating watchable content if I could do that, but I just don't have the time. Right, there we go. That's that bit. I think I need to do the same actually on this gable here. Oops. So that's stone, so I'm actually going to leave that bit until I'm ready for it, to be honest. I need to figure out how I'm going to do that. I probably will use some filler in that section. Let's get back to a better angle. Just need to find a little suitable pot now to store those shavings, because they will come in handy rather than trying to rather than sweeping them up and throwing them away. I can reuse it. So you see, that's how that textured wall is starting to look. You like the little pumpkin? Yeah, I bought that on the cheap, so I could use it as a light. I got it for the farmhouse, I think, the witch's cottage, to create a flickering fire. A lot cheaper than trying to buy a specialist model light. Need a tiny miniature sweep brush now. Sorry, I'm just picking up the dust. That'll come in handy, like a lot of things. There's no point throwing it away if it's reusable. Right, where was I? I'm going to carry on just fine-tuning the carving on the tower. All bits I need to get completed before I can paint. I want to try and minimise the amount of times I get the airbrush out, so I don't have to keep cleaning it. Most of that's hidden, so it's just this bit here. And then, of course, the bit that joins on. How did I make the rounded parts? I've got a failed bit here that I can show you the technique that I used. Basically, I laser cut some discs with the laser cutter that I knew were 2mm narrower in diameter, or smaller in diameter than the thickness of the wall, because I was using a 2mm piece of Foamex to cover it. So basically I output the stonework on the Cricut. This one's just collapsed a little bit, it's actually a slightly different material, but I output the stonework on the Cricut to the circumference of the circle, and basically I've glued discs inside the walls with spacers and just gradually stuck the whole thing together and followed a curve like that, just gluing as I go until I've got a tower. That one was a failed version which I've just kept for now, and basically what I've done with that is I've cut holes in the sides of the walls and then fit the tower into it. Then I've used a ready mixed filler to blend it back into the wall. The corner tower I've done a similar way, but I made that as a section. So this wall here, where it meets, this wall here is actually, it goes all the way up to a corner, so I've made like a cut-out disc that just slots onto the wall, and then I've glued the brick former piece around the wall, apart from the very top where I've just used a complete piece to glue around. But essentially, yes, I've used I used a former piece inside to wrap it around. I used a former piece inside to wrap it around. Yeah, the Foamex, it does have a bendable nature to it, but it only folds in one way, or it only curves in one way. I've got a piece here. That piece that I've got is actually bendier. So I've got a sheet of A4 here. The stuff I've got there is foamed PVC. This is Foamex, so it's slightly different. This is a lot sturdier than the material I used here. But if I hold it in landscape form, I can curve it because it's got some bend to it. But if I hold it in portrait form, it won't, because there's a grain to it. It's like wood, there is a grain inside, so if you get it right, you can curve it. But it is thermoreactive as well, so you can actually heat it gently to persuade it to bend. I didn't need to in that case because it was so soft. I could just use brute force and the power of glue. Yeah, so this stuff I actually found on Amazon. It was a little bit cheaper, but I'm not sure I'm going to buy it again. It's really soft, so it has good qualities and it has bad qualities, but I don't like it as much as the other stuff. There is a way. I was going to say there's no way I could have done it out of MDF, but I could have done it with MDF, but it would have required a lot of filling. So it would have meant engraving lots and lots of cuts into it to allow it to curve. But then I'd had to engrave it on the outside for it to properly work, which would have meant lots and lots of holes where I didn't want holes. And like I say, it would have required a lot of additional filling, so that wasn't really an option. Now this bit, like I say, I've done this slightly different. I've actually used craft card or grey board to make this bit, partially because I wanted to try it and partially because I'd run out of Fomex, or at least that particular kind, and I'm kind of holding back on it, but it's worked just as well. The only thing I had to do with this is I've had to coat it in varnish to stop the board delaminating. And I'm just cutting back in the stones because, like I say, I've filled this in to blend it onto the main wall. And some of the stone details have been obscured. I'm actually doing this a little bit finer than the other wall. So basically I just engraved the stone detail with the laser cutter in a similar way to where I've cut the stone details from the Fomex part. So they're all bits that need adding in before I can give it a final coat of paint. My plan is that I will get onto the airbrush tonight and we'll give it a base coat of medium stone. And then the ultimate plan is to make all the rendered sections just a little darker. So I'm going to use an oil wash, a black oil wash over the rendered section just to lift it. Interesting little feature about this turret here, it's on the corner of the street. The road backs right down onto this corner here, and I'm just looking to see, I don't think I have a truck, but the trucks go around this corner to go down the street next to it, and they keep hitting this little section of turret here, so in reality it's quite battered where it's been caught as trucks go around the corner. But the owners have asked me to restore that section. So it's not got the battle damage on this bit now. I mean, in fairness, it is really a narrow street, this part. So it's quite difficult to turn around in. Well, I can't imagine the trucks come out without damage. So even though it's fairly soft sandstone, I would imagine there's a certain amount of scraping. But I'd be gutted if I would ever had a nice historic building like this and trucks kept hitting it. There's not an awful lot they can do about it, I suppose. The only thing they could do is to try and protect it would be to cover it with like a steel bollard. That'd be quite unsightly, so maybe they can't do that because of conservation issues. I don't know. Well, like I've said before, they do plan on restoring the building, so whether they fix that particular part of stone or not, I don't know. I mean, if they are doing the full restoration business, it's going to require some serious stonemasonry. Because there are quite some quite ornate details on this that need sort of fitting back in if they can. Thank you very much, Nancy, for coming in. It's nice to see you. I think I'll be disappearing to probably do a bit of gardening later, so I can't see me being on that much longer. I just wanted to get a little bit of preparation work done so I could potentially paint later. There we go. Right. Next thing I'm going to do is just fill that section there. Like I said, I wasn't going to do with the other bit, but this bit has different kind of stonework on it, so I'm going to use some actual filler for that bit. I think I'll get that done and then stop for a while. At least I can be waiting for that to set. So for this bit I'm going to use different material. This is ready mixed filler. I'm just going to apply this to the end gable. But I don't need to do it all the way because there's going to be another building fixed onto this. If in doubt, use your fingers. do actually have a proper spatula somewhere. Though where it is, I don't know. No, I can't lay my eyes on it right now. I'll just use a scrap of cardboard. I just want to disguise that seam between the two joins of MDF. I may have to wait till one layer's set and then put some more. Right, there we go. I think that'll do. So I'm going to sign off for a while, leave that to set so I can sand it later, and we'll come back to it in a bit and see how we're all going. So thank you very much for joining me this afternoon for a little while. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Rest of your day.